welcome back to Stacy's So and So. Thank you for joining me again this week. I hope everyone is holding up well under this incredible heat wave. If you're in the Midwest, the East Coast, please stay cool, please stay safe. So today's project, I'm going to be taking 2 pair of my husband's old work jeans and turning them into a pair of overalls or coveralls for myself for when I'm doing certain projects. Because, you know, even though I often wear smocks and I wear aprons all the time, sometimes that's just not enough coverage or protection if I'm, you know, maybe cleaning the bathroom and using lots of bleach, or I'm out, you know, cutting down weeds, or we're doing any kind of like home improvement project where we're painting or there's spackle involved. So I thought I want to be able to make something I can slip up on over top of my clothes just to keep me from ruining things that I have, you know, in my closet, in my wardrobe. I don't really have like just straight dedicated cleaning clothes. I used to, but they wore out, and I thought, well, this would be a better option. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you kind of my thought process and the direction that I'll be going. So give me just a second and we'll get started. Okay, so first thing I had to do was sort through a huge pile of old jeans in varying degrees of, you know, being taken apart and figure out what I wanted to use. So I'm going, these jeans right here are the ones that I'm going to start with. These are going to be obviously the bottom part of the coveralls. And as you can see, there's already patches on them. There's some paint. So anyway, you can see they have been worn a lot, but they're still, you know, they're still sturdy. They still have life in them. So first thing I did was I picked off the waistband. I still have to take the little belt loops off the waistband, and I'll explain why in a moment. So I also just took the zipper off because I do remember with this pair, they wouldn't stay zipped anymore. So I'm going to just end up sewing all of that shut anyway. These slide right up over my hips with no problem. And I do want these to be, you know, roomy and comfortable. I don't really want them touching me, and I want to be able to put them on over other things. So these are actually going to be a perfect size. So that's all I have done with these so far, was mainly remove the waistband. So my thought is I grabbed some other pieces of denim, because obviously when you do overalls, you have that front portion. So I grabbed a pair of, these were legs off of some of his old work jeans, opening this up to make the front bib part. I grabbed this piece, and then I also grabbed just like some smaller pieces of denim. Here's another one. I could possibly cut strips out of this to make the straps that go over the shoulder. And I was considering that until I thought about the waistband I just took off. And what I'm thinking is, if I take all of these off and I stitch this back together, I could use the waistbands to make the straps over the shoulder. So that's kind of the direction that we're going in first. So before doing anything else, I'm going to take these off, and then I pulled another pair of his jeans. They're kind of similar in color. I don't mind if these match or not. I'm going to be wearing them when I'm out working. So I think I'm going to take this waistband off too. And like I said, I'm going to use those as the straps. Okay, so I've taken actually a couple of days to kind of visualize the next steps of how I want to put these overalls together. So you've seen this part. I still have to sew this up. I'm going to sew the pockets closed too, because I just think that would look better. But I was like, what am I going to make the bib part out of? So I took a leg off of one of the jeans and just opened it up down the side. Actually, I took off the inside. This would be where the outside part of the leg was. And I figured out how long I needed it to be, where I would want it to fit on me. So I think what I'm going to do is use this part. Now keep in mind I still have to hem it. I'm going to definitely do a hem and a flat with a top stitch up the side. So line that up. And so that's going to be the bib portion. It's going to come in, like I said, a little bit on either side just because I will be hemming it. So the next thing I thought about was, well, how do I want to attach the straps? What am I, and you know, I talked about using the waistbands as straps, which I still love. So here's the thought. And this is what I'm going to go with. This is where the direction I'm going. The great thing about these, the waist, I don't have to worry about putting a buttonhole in. So they will attach to the front, like maybe right about here. Let me grab the other one. There we go. And I have some large buttons in my button box. So I'll just pick out the ones that I think look the coolest. So those will attach here. Then they'll go over the shoulder, obviously. And I thought, how do I want the back? Do I just want to do like crisscross straps? Do I want a piece that comes up? And I decided that yes, I do. So I grabbed another jean leg and I just cut a smaller rectangle. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll have to figure out, of course, how long I need these to be before I start sewing them together. But once you pick off a waistband, it's already open. So I will sandwich this like so. And this one on this side like so. Get it in there. Okay. So I will sew that together, and this will be on the back portion of the jean. Let me grab the jeans. The rest of it will come up and over my shoulder and then attach to the front part of the bib. So as I was sitting there working with my jigsaw puzzle of denim, I had said that I was just going to hem the ends of, around the bibs, and I was still also trying to figure out how I wanted to finish around the waist of, the actual jeans. And then I thought about the Upcycled Denim cobbler apron that I had made. Remember when I did a short showing how to make your own bias tape? And I thought, well, I have some like scrap bias tape as well from I had purchased. And so I've decided, I went through my fabric stash, I'm going to make patchwork bias tape to trim out the waist and around the bibs. It's going to take more time, which means this video is probably going to be a week later, but that's okay. That's okay. I know I'm just going to be wearing them for when I work, and that's fine, but I still want them to be a little cute, So I'm going to take a break and get this done. I will show it to you when I'm finished, and then I will continue on with the upcycling of the jeans into the overalls. And the patchwork bias tape is done. Now, I did a quick video last week on how to make this, so I will be sure to link that below so that if you want to make some for your project, you can. Now, I made this small portion first, and I did that in the video, mainly just to make sure that, one, it was actually going to work for the project, that it would be durable enough, and that I liked the way it looked, and it is. So once I got this done, I made all of this. So now I have plenty of patchwork bias tape to trim out the rest of my project, and probably still have some left over as well. I think it turned out really pretty and I love it. There you go, so you can see it. Now, you see I do have some scraps still left back there. I kept it because I'm probably going to add some cute little patches to my overalls as well. So now that we have our patchwork bias tape ready, let's continue on with creating our overalls. So as you can see, I'm working on the bib portion. Here are the waistbands. I have them pinned in place where I think I want them to hit. Now I haven't done any hemming or anything. I'm just kind of getting a feel for how things are going to fit together and lay out. So this length gives me plenty of seam allowance to attach the front part of the bib to the bottom part of, the pant section. So I measured going over my shoulder and down to my waist, and you can see this is about where it needs to hit, so that again I have enough seam allowance to attach it to the pant portion. So I think this is going to work fine. Now before I finish this off, I'm going to add across here the patchwork bias tape. I'm also going to do it down the sides. Now across the bottom, I'm just going to turn it up and hem it just a little bit. Actually, I might just do might just serge across the bottom. I just want to finish the end so that it doesn't continue to fray. I want to do the same thing in the back. I won't be going down the side, but I will take the bias tape here across the top, like, right across there. All right, so that's the next portion. I think I am just going to serge across here on the front piece and the back piece to prevent future fraying, and then we'll get it all trimmed out and start putting it together. Okay, and I got the patchwork bias tape on the waistband all the way around, so that's finished. This is all sewn shut now, as are the pockets. And here is the front bib. I just finished the bottom by taking it across on my serger. If you don't have a serger, you can always use a zigzag stitch, or if you have an overcaster foot, you could do that. And it is now trimmed out with the bias tape. And then the back part of the bib has the bias tape across the top. So now what I'm going to work on is getting the straps. I went ahead and marked where each piece, like this, is going to be at the top of here. I figure I just use chalk to mark it. So that line goes at the top of there. So I'm going to work on getting the bib put all together. I have it all cut to the correct length now, and I have it marked where I need to attach it to the front piece, as well as how I need to attach it to the back piece. Once I complete that, I will attach this to the front and this piece to the back. The straps will already be attached. And they'll be ready for me to give them a try on, because my husband is a lot taller than me, so I've got to figure out where I want to cut these off. And because I made so much of the patchwork bias tape, instead of doing a traditional hem, I'm going to put this across the bottom wherever I cut them off. So those are going to be my next steps. And then it'll be about putting on some decorative patches. Okay, and the bib portion of the overalls is done. I did dig through my stash because I decided I wanted to add a pocket on the front of it. I mean, I could probably stick my cell phone in there, or, And I wanted it to be a lighter denim than the rest of this, since the bottom half of the jeans is the bottom half of the overalls is going to be a much lighter denim. So this is how the front turned out. And all I did was I really just kind of measured where I wanted everything and then tried it on just to make sure it works for me, and it does. So here's the front, and then let me flip it over and show you the back portion. There we go. Oh, look, a thread. I missed that. Okay. So this is the back portion. And all I did was sandwich this back rectangle, since I had, these were the waistbands, remember? And I just left them open, put them inside, pinned them, and then just seamed all the way up and over. So that works perfect. All right, so now all I have left to do is attach the top to the bottoms, then try it on and hem them. Well, cut them off and then add the bias tape to the bottom of the pant legs. And they are done. I am really happy with the way they turned out. They fit really well. They're definitely going to serve the purpose for which I need them very well. One thing I don't talk about is how I determined how long to make them. I didn't just try them on. What I did instead was I just measured my inseam and then measured down the pant leg and cut them straight across. I didn't leave any extra like room for hem because I was putting the patchwork bias tape around the bottom. But if you plan on just hemming yours, be sure that you add, you know, about 1 inch so that you can fold it up and hem them. Now I'm wearing them kind of cuffed up right now because I did make them a little bit longer so that I have some coverage and protection if we're in tall grass, which can happen in Tennessee when we're outside working. I'm afraid of ticks, so I want to make sure that I'm covered. But right now I've got them on with my new chicken motif garden shoes, and I've got them cuffed up, and adding the bias tape and the patches, I think made them look kind of cute. So anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. I will be back again next week with a new one. And until then, happy sewing.